welcome to our first official episode of Short Game Long Talk. I am Eric.
I'm Jess.
And this episode we originally planned to get it out on November 1st, but then I realized October 31st is on a Monday, which is when we posted the last episode. So I was like, let's just do another one and have it be spooky. So we played a nice about 4-hour game, I think is about how long it took us to play. It is Playdead's Inside. You have to look that up because if you just look up the word inside, there's a lot of results. So Playdead's Inside, which is I think a 2016 follow-up to their 2010 game Limbo.
I thought it was opposite. But
no, Limbo
probably
came out first.
Oh, okay.
Limbo came out in 2010, and then I just want to double check for sure what year this came out. 2016. And then, Limbo came out in 2010, which is like one of the best indie games of all time, which is on our short list of games. Short list, there's like 36 games on the list already, and there's like plenty more out there. But this is a nice short one. It's kind of spooky. Jess took the reins on playing this one because I've played it before in the past, so I wanted her to experience all of it. But for those of you who have not listened, this is a video game podcast where we play short games that you can beat in, a couple sittings, one sitting. This one we just played in one sitting, which I don't think I've done since I was in high school. Like, it's been a long time since I've sat down and like played a game and just like beat it that quickly. But yeah, this is our inside episode, which makes it sound like it's behind the scenes or something. But we're going to start off first just by talking a little bit about the game, what its vague plot is. This game is very it's atmosphere heavy. There's not a story really.
There's no dialogue. Mm-hmm. It's just walk. Yeah,
walk, jump, grab. I think we pulled up the controls and there's literally just move.
3 controls.
Yeah, move,
grab, move, jump.
Yeah, and that's it. And there's no like the game will speed up for you. Like the character that we named Milo, because he doesn't have a name, he will just start running when he feels like he needs to.
Yeah.
Most of the time he has like a saunter, I think is the only way you can say it. Like he's just kind of like moving a little bit, and there's not much else to it. But you played it.
Yeah, I did play it.
How did you feel? Like first impressions when you first started playing? Because I never really asked anything how you were feeling during the game because I wanted to wait until we recorded. Yeah.
When I first got it, I think I said, or when I first got in the game, I think I said this out loud. I was like, "What do I do?"
Yeah.
Because there was nothing. It was just the character.
You hit start, and then the game started. Like
start, and then it was just the character in the level.
Yeah, in the forest.
Yeah.
Like
in the forest, I saw like a car, and I was like, "All right,
yeah,
what do I do here?"
Yeah.
And it didn't even it was just placed you in there. So I just started moving the joystick, and I was like, gotcha.
I think that's one of my favorite things that games do is because it was the main screen, it just said inside, it said play, continue, and a couple other things. And then you hit start and you're in, and then the menu just fades away and then you're just in.
Yeah, there's no prerequisites. It's just you just go in.
I love that. And like you said, there's no dialogue in this game.
Yeah.
There's just atmosphere, music, and some
sound effects.
Yeah, sound effects of there's dogs barking, there's a pig at one point.
There's muffled talking
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you don't, it's unintelligible words. That's a big word.
That was a big word. Good for you. But yeah, so you started playing. How did it feel? Because I didn't touch this controller once this whole time.
No.
I helped you with the puzzles and things like that because to help I didn't really need to help you too much. There was just a couple suggestions here and there, but I've played through the game and I've watched playthroughs of the game. So there was a couple times where I was like, oh, this is going to be a difficult puzzle. So I'd let you try a couple times and be like, hey, let's try
maybe this obvious way to go.
There was never obvious. You wanted to explore, which is fine, which was really funny because you found a couple Easter eggs that I've never seen before. So that was your side mission.
My side quest.
Yeah, to find the Easter eggs. But we're not gonna to kind of go in. We've been talking for about 5 minutes now. Before we're this is just our spoiler-free section. We're just talking about the gameplay, kind of how the loose narrative of this game, because it's very loose. I went on the Wikipedia page and just kind of looked up like what the plot is. And it's like 3 paragraphs and then some theories. Like there's no concrete anything about this game, which is cool because it allows us to talk a little bit about like what we think it is, and we'll save that for the third section of our episode here. But overall, like tell like what's the first couple beats of this game? Like that's non-spoiler because that will all happen in like the demo, which is you can go play right now.
Yeah, like.
You start in the forest.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. Completely. Blah.
It's all good.
Yeah. So you start in the forest as like this kid. Mm-hmm. Like, and what I really liked about the game design is the color schemes that it had, because it was very dark and like gloomy.
Yeah. Which is Playdead's kind of thing. Like Limbo is all black and gray.
Yeah.
Like the entire game, except for like the character's white eyes. Like the whole game is black and gray.
Yeah. And like it was dark and gloomy, but then you got this kid and like he's in a red shirt.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, all right, cool. Good to know I'm the main character.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, yeah, which is funny because the joke is red shirts from like Star Trek, which means they're just gonna die. Oh. Usually, if somebody shows up on Star Trek with a red shirt, they're called red shirts because they're gonna die. But no, this character definitely died a lot, which is very funny. The boy is always in danger. Like there's not
he's at 2 hearts.
Yeah, basically he is always about to get killed. And I think that was the funniest thing was the first time, because you didn't know, like I knew like what the premise of this game was. And I was like, this kid's going to die a lot. And the first time, what was the first time you died? Was it?
I fell off of the mountain.
Was it not the mountain or was like, it when you got shot?
No. It wasn't when I got shot. It was when I fell because I didn't make a jump. Because I didn't run and jump. I just got to the edge I jumped and I fell and it ragdolled.
Yeah.
And it just crumbled.
Yeah, that's the funniest. Like that's what this whole game is so scary. But then like ragdoll effects are just so funny. Like the atmosphere is like so creepy and unsettling, and then something will happen where you die and like it'll just be like a complete ragdoll, like Grand Theft Auto, and it's just so funny every single time. There's not a single time that you didn't die that was just like, I think there's one time, which we'll get into in the spoiler section, where you died where we were like, oh Holy my god, like oh my god, that was so scary. Like, but everything else is just like, the first time it might catch you off guard, but then every single time after is just so funny. Like
we were in these intense like I could hear my own breath, I can feel my heart racing, and then I die and I'll just be like,
yeah, that was kind of so good because it's just like you said, it just crumples. Like the whole body is just like turns into a ragdoll, and like every single time the landing, like it wasn't like a scripted death. Like it's just like they hit, you hear the entire bones in this kid's body just break, and then you're like, oh my god, and like you can't help but laugh because he's just laying there like just all splayed out or like upside down or whatever, and it's so funny. But so we start in the forest, then
then it's you run by these trucks, right? Yeah. You run by these trucks and people like lining in to get into these trucks. I was so creeped out. I was like, what is happening in this world right now? Yeah,
because they're all kind of like lifeless zombies like marching into a building, basically.
And I'm used to dialogue based games. I'm used to like knowing what the story is. So like as I'm running through these woods like trying to figure it out, and I don't get anything, like that's making my own story in my own brain, and I'm very creative. Yeah. So what did you think? Yeah. So I thought it was just like some like completely lost my words there. Like people like the scientists like getting like finding people and like taking them for experiments and like using carcasses as like a way to figure out different things in the world, like a post-apocalyptic type deal. Yeah, because I mean the setting, it starts out like you're in the forest, then you're just running from some guards, some pretty typical stuff, and then all of a sudden you're like on a farm, and there's like a bunch of like
that was one of my favorite parts was with the chickens, like the little baby chicks.
My like, chicken friends.
But that's another thing. Like, yeah, this game sets that up right away. Like after you escape the forest and you're on the farm, then you run into like going into a barn, and these chickens, these yellow chickens, like kind of follow around you, and they're following you, and then you get into the barn and open up the door, and the chickens are still following you, and then you have to use the chickens to like solve your first puzzle, which looked like a wood chipper.
I almost cried.
Yeah,
I think Eric has a clip of me going, I think I know what I have to do, but I don't have the strength to do it, because I thought I had to murder my baby chicks.
Yeah. And in reality, you just launch them out of a thing that looks like a wood chipper, but they're totally fine to like knock something down. But that was the first time where we were like, it wasn't then, it was then like very soon after when you noticed the first Easter egg, which was like a yellow cord, and then you just pulled out a thing out of like a little orb, and that's like the Easter eggs in this game that lead to a secret ending that we can talk about later. But then it was like color theory, like the like everything else is dark. Our character is red. The chickens are yellow. They were good.
Yeah.
The cord was yellow. They were good. Every time a yellow hue showed up in this game, it was a good thing.
Yeah, and then like the handles for levers were all red.
Yeah.
Like, which contrasted really well with the blue, like the blue, gray, green tint of the background.
Yeah.
So it was really good for my brain to like see the different colors to like organize what colors are good and bad. But yeah, so we go to the barn, and then it's a beach. No, not the beach.
Yeah, I think the next part is when is the first time that you kind of get to the central mechanic of this game.
Yeah.
Which is a wild thing that I was like so excited for you to be like, what? Like, what is this? Because like, yeah, you start in a forest, you go to a farm, everything looks fairly normal, and then you get past the farm and you walk into
that thing.
Well, you walk past a pig.
Oh, the pig.
You walk past a pig, and it has like these worms coming out of it, and it's like these huge, like 3-foot long worms. Like they're like half the size of the pig itself. And then there's one that has like one sticking out of it, and it's like wriggling around, and you walk past the pig.
And it charges.
Yeah, and it just runs at you. And that was the first like moment of like peril where you actually had to do something and kind of use the environment around you. So that part is followed up by the actual central mechanic, which is, you can elaborate on that a little bit.
Oh, right now?
Yeah,
I thought
right
that was more spoilers.
No, that's like the main thing of the game. We're not talking about the spoilers. I feel like is the second half once we start getting into the weird stuff.
Ah, okay. It's like a mind control type thing.
Yeah, so once you use the pig to kind of like overcome a couple obstacles and then kind of like free it from the worm.
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta use the pig as a
battering ram, and then as a box to jump off of.
Yeah. And then so you jump off the pig into this helmet.
Yeah. It's like a helmet with like a big wire sticking out of the top of it into the ceiling, like just off screen completely.
And once you do that, you take control of like one of the corpses that you see in like right when you enter. Like as soon as you load into the game, you see all the corpses like walking onto this truck. When you get to the mind control thing, you start controlling one of those corpses.
Yeah, it like stands up and like
walks the way that you would walk, and it grabs what you need to grab, jumps, all that stuff.
And it's like in a different position, I believe. Like it's like further away because you're controlling it on like a different level, and that's kind of the whole premise of the game is like you find these little mind control things, and it's set up by the chickens. Like you're using the chickens as these. Basically whatever, they're nothing to you, right? Like they're something to you as the player character, but like as the actual like just playing the game, you're just using them as another mechanic.
Yeah.
And then you get set up by these like drones basically.
Yeah.
They're just like lifeless. We don't even know if they're actual bodies, like actual people, because like they're like white, like everybody else, like the other guys, the guards, they have like a kind of a skin tone and your character has kind of a skin tone. They're still like grayish.
Yeah.
But these like drones are basically like white. So they're either dead bodies or like made to just be mind controlled kind of thing.
Yeah. Like they were like robots.
Kind of, yeah. And then that's when you kind of start to realize like, oh, okay, this is a weird game.
Something's the matter here.
Yeah. And you start solving puzzles with that and then you move on. And that's basically the whole premise of the game is like pushing boxes, solving puzzles.
It's a very logical and like critical thinking type of game.
And honestly, I'm thinking about it now. We can talk about pretty much like all of the game except the last like 3 chapters. Because everything else is kind of just like a typical, like you're running away from the guards. But those last 3 chapters are when things are like, what is happening? Like, where are we? Like, you start out in the forest, you go to a farm, and then you go into like a factory. So all these things look fairly normal. Like, they're all kind of weird, but like for the most part, you're like, okay, these are all like realistic things.
Yeah, it's kind of like an uncanny valley type of feeling. Like, okay, this is kind of off-putting, but I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah, and then you like go into like an underground or like a sunken base. Like all of a sudden you're like deep underwater and you're like, it's just like these huge buildings that are just completely flooded with water.
Yeah, completely like submerged.
Yeah, and you're like, what? Like that's when you're like, what happened here? Because like, how is this flooded? But like 15 minutes ago,
I was in a barn.
Yeah, you're like, and it was like fine. So it makes like no sense. And then like that's when you got your
my submarine.
Yeah, your submarine, which was like the first time you feel safe in that entire game.
Until later.
Yeah, which we can talk about in a little bit. But that's because, then they throw that whole mechanic at you. It's like, okay, now you're in a submarine and all you can do is move up and down, left and right. And then you have like a little booster thing.
Yeah.
To like, because you're just a ball. Like it's just a little ball submarine. And you can use the little jets on it to like battering ram things. And that's
launch yourself forward.
And that's when they start like getting really clever with it, where you like, you have to jump out of the water with the submarine. You have to time different things. And that's where this game shines, is like you do a couple things where you're like, there's no way I can do this.
Yeah.
And like you do it and you're like, holy shit. Like I did it.
As soon as I figured out the mechanics for the booster, I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah. And it was really fun to like watch you play through that. Cause I was just like, cause like, it felt like once you got in the submarine, I was like, I don't really need to even tell you. Like it was just like second nature for you. I was like, man, she was just like born to drive this submarine, I guess.
It was so cool.
Yeah. And then like you were like so sad when we had to leave it.
Yeah, I had to leave it for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, my submarine.
I was like, we're gonna get it back. We have to. Like, there's no other way. But that's when they introduce, for me, the most terrifying thing in this whole game was just like, I have a very like the whole submarine section was fine because we were in this like close knit. The whole game is very close. The view is very close. Like the character takes up probably about like 10% of the whole screen, so it's fairly big. And then in the submarine, you're still in like probably taking up like 15% of the screen, and you're in these very tight corridors, which is fine. But then like there was just this one point where we go through this tube and come out, and it's just this huge expanse.
It opens up, and you're like 1% of the screen,
and you're like, what? Where am I? Like, we just went through a whole building underwater, and now we're in this huge expanse of water. And then my heart like sunk because I hate like huge open water like that. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't like this at all. And then Jess was like, oh, yeah, I forgot you like don't like water like this. And I was like, yeah, this is terrible. And then you started to get more stressed because I was like, all of a sudden, like, it was so funny.
Yeah, no, Eric was like, he was like, oh, I don't like this. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, oh, shoot. He does not like water.
Yeah. And it was funny because like I said, I know this game a little bit. And so I knew like once we were in the water, I was like, oh, I know what's coming.
Once like I got in the submarine, he was like, okay, Jess, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
In a minute, I'm not going to be able to help you with your puzzles.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm going to be very like distracted on like not. And I started to suck like at helping with puzzles, because there was a couple times where like you had the right answer. I was like, no, that can't be it. And then it would be like, because all the other times it was like, yeah, no, definitely, you're right. And just my brain went like absolutely south when we were underwater. And then, yeah, we eventually, you get into this, because this game does a really good thing of, and a lot of games do this. It's not like exclusive to this game, but you would go through like a foreground piece. So you'd kind of go through what is an opening, and then the screen would kind of transition with you as you're moving. And so the screen is kind of blocked off as you're going through it. And basically that uses, it uses a good way of basically not allowing you to see what's ahead of you. Yeah. And basically what it did was, I forget if it was when we were going forward or when we had to go back to a section that was safe before. But then this little like, this little kid with long flowing hair underwater
flashes by the screen.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no.
I blinked as it first came on, and I like opened my eyes as it like went off, and I was like, what was that?
Yeah,
what was that?
I was like, oh no. I was like, this is the part I was not worried about, or the part I was super worried about. And then, yeah, all of a sudden, like Jess, who feels super safe in the sub, was like floating around, and then that thing comes and just busts through the submarine and kills Milo immediately. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be a problem. And then, yeah, so that's the other, basically for the most part, that's the game. If that sounds at all interesting to you and you want to play it and you don't want to be like spoiled on anything, because it's not like we can spoil puzzles. We only spoiled one puzzle, and it's like the first actual puzzle you face in the entire game.
And we didn't even spoil it that much.
Yeah.
We just said you have to use chickens. Yeah,
you have to use little chickens. And that's the other thing. The submarine was yellow too.
Yeah.
Anything that was safe was yellow. And then the little mind control head piece has like yellow lights on it. But yeah, so that's the game. Like I said, very, very short and to the point. We'll take a little break here, and then we're going to go into just kind of talking about our life in gaming right now. Just a quick little in between for you guys to listen to a little more. If you want to stop after that, because we're going into spoilers, no problem. But if you don't mind spoilers, honestly, you could totally get spoiled on this game. Besides like the last, like, I don't know, 15 minutes of this game, everything's pretty like cut and dry, like just kind of, it's all atmosphere heavy.
Yeah.
So us talking about the game is not going to spoil anything for you. You're still going to be creeped out. You're still going to feel kind of weird, and the music is still going to hit you.
Oh, God, the music.
But there's a couple moments that we're going to talk about, kind of elaborate on, that is going to be like pretty crazy. But honestly, the spoiler section is probably only going to be about 10 minutes or so of us talking about it, and then that'll be it. But we're going to go talk about what we're excited about for gaming in the future, and what things we're playing right now, if we're playing anything at all. And so, yeah, we'll see you guys in a second. Okay, so we're back. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of what we're playing right now, what we're excited for, just kind of have a little break. You guys get to know us a little more, and where we don't have to talk about the game we were playing, and just, have a little fun and get to just discuss gaming in general. So what have you been playing right now?
So right now I have been playing a lot of Minecraft with my friends, because, as I said in episode 0, it's one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
It's like one of the first, like, it was my first, like, view into gaming.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And like, it was my first, like, all of my YouTubers that I was subscribed to at that time were all like Minecraft YouTubers. Oh, yeah. So I was like, yeah, this is my opening.
Yeah.
And it's just the game that stuck with me the longest time. So I've been playing Minecraft I have a server with all my friends.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so we just hang out and like build there.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into it and then got out of it playing Pokemon Shield.
Yes. Yeah, we started because me and you both got excited for the new Pokemon game that comes out in less than a month. And we were like, we should play through. I basically was like, I want to play through like Pokemon Sword and Shield again, because like I I just played through it once, and I kind of like I did a little bit of competitive play, and then I completely forgot about it. And you're like, I'll do it. And I was like, cool. And so we started, and yeah, we've kind of both fallen off.
Yeah.
I moved into a new house, got everything set up, and then you had like
I had a bunch of extracurriculars.
Yeah. So where did you leave off?
I left off right before the fire gym.
Okay.
Like
so I'm slightly past you.
Yeah, I am literally like this close to fighting the fire gym. I'm just a wuss.
That's the third gym, right? Because it's you fight Milo, which is funny. You fight Milo, the grass trainer, then Nessa, the water trainer, and then the last one is Kabu, who is the fire trainer. Yeah. And then that's when you kind of unlock the rest of the game. I just beat him and then went to, I'm at for my game, it's the fighting gym. I forget where it is, what it is in Shield, because there's 2 gyms that are switched in each game, and this one's the fighting gym. So that's where I left off. I have no idea if I'll be able to beat that game by the time Pokemon Scarlet and Violet come out.
I don't know if I will be able to.
But we can keep trying. I have some like I traded over some like perfect IV Pokemon, so I might be able to just burn through that game. But what's your team looking like? Do you remember at all? Let me see. I have mine.
I think I sent it to you.
Oh, bro, that would have been like
that was eons
15
ago.
Years ago. There's no way I still have it. Let me see.
No, I meant on. Hold on.
So I have Cinderace, Obstagoon, Cramorant. Yeah, I wanted to use Cramorant so bad. I don't know if I have Dhelmise currently, but he was on my team eventually at one point. I'm in the process of getting a Hatterene, and then Toxtricity as well. And then I have a couple people on like the sidelines that I might use, but those first 6 are like the team I'm going for. Because I've never used any of them except Dhelmise. Dhelmise is like one of my favorite Pokemon ever. Like, just from a competitive standpoint, like it's not a super good Pokemon, but it's a ghost grass type, and then also has the ability Steel Worker, which gives it stab on steel moves. So it gets stab on 3 different types of moves, and that's just so good and so fun to use in like especially like that thing is just burning through people in like the regular story mode. It's just stupid. But you picked Cinderace. You're gonna have a Cinderace as well, right?
Yeah.
Because me, you, and Nina all started playing at the same time. We all picked Scorbunny. Yeah. Which was funny.
Oh my god, his name's Kenneth.
Yeah, that's right. Mine is I forget what mine is called.
I have Kenneth.
I think mine's Beck or Beckham or something like that, because he's a soccer player.
Yeah.
Kenneth, that's right. Yeah, your names are so funny.
Kenneth, because I searched up what like some names that mean fire, and Kenneth was on there, and I was like, that is hilarious to me. Funny.
It's like like naming a dog like Ralph or something like that. It's just,
Greg.
Yeah, Greg is such a good name for like a cat too. Like cats with like human names is so funny to me. Like, oh yeah, it's Pete. like that's my cat Pete. Like, it's so funny. It fits a little more with dogs. Like, you're like, I guess for sure. But like a cat named Pete is just so funny to me. Like, I love that.
No, I got Kenneth.
You have the Bolton, right? The one that looks like honey.
Mm-hmm. Named Honey.
Yeah, that one's definitely really funny.
Oh, I forgot what it's called. It's the bat one. It's a purple bat, and it's a dragon type.
Oh, Noivern.
That one.
That's a good Pokemon.
I named him Drake.
Drake, yeah.
Because I also searched up names that mean dragon, and Drake was on there, and I was haha, funny.
Yeah, that is good. I mean, yeah, because of Drake. Like, a Drake is a dragon type. And then, do you remember anybody else?
I got... It's a water Pokemon. It's a water and bug.
Okay.
It's the gigantic
it's the
spider.
one with the fucking bubble on its head. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, that one, I forget its name, but yeah.
I named it Bob.
Bob? That's good.
Bob,
I like that.
Bobble.
Bubble. Yeah, I like that. And then, I mean, yeah, the bug. You have a bug water type.
Oh, and it's a grass type, and I named it Claritin.
It's the Gossifleur.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny because it evolves with the little puff on the back. That's so funny. That's a good name. I like that. I know. Have you always named your Pokemon? Because I always do.
I always try naming my Pokemon like funny names that like I don't know Pokemon names. I know them by the names I give them.
I know, right? Doesn't that makes it difficult? Like the older I've gotten, the more I nickname my Pokemon. So the more I'm like, I don't remember that, like what kind of Pokemon that is. I know its types. I know what moves it does. I know when it evolves, but I don't know its name because I've completely forgotten. Do you know what a Nuzlocke is?
Yes.
Okay. You should, like, in the future when I have like a nice PC, every once in a while we should just do a Nuzlocke and stream it because I think it would be so funny for you to, like, the dread. Because do you know the rules of Nuzlocke?
No.
Okay. So a Nuzlocke is, and we'd probably do a randomizer where it just completely mixes up the Pokemon and where it is, like, your starters and everything. A Nuzlocke is basically you can only catch one Pokemon per route. You get one chance. So the first Pokemon you run into, if you catch it, it's on your team. Cool. If you don't catch it, you can't catch any Pokemon on that route. And you get one chance on each route. On top of that, then you have to nickname all of your Pokemon. Then on top of that, if a Pokemon faints, it's dead.
Like forever?
You put it in a box or you release it, you can never use it again unless it's like the one to use like your HMs to like progress the game. But it's just gone forever. And if you run out of Pokemon, you have to start over.
God.
It's so hard. I've done it once. It is very difficult, but it is so fun. And it like keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time. Like it is so fun. And it's like, if you look up Pokemon streamers, most of the time they're doing a Nuzlocke. Whether it's a actual Nuzlocke where you just like, because you can do it on any game.
Yeah.
But if you do like a ROM hack and you randomize it, then everything's a mix. So you have no idea what you're going to get. You can get like, you could walk into Route 1, like, and go and catch a, like, you know, like a Dragonite, like a level 5 Dragonite. And you just have that now because you caught it, you know. And it's just so funny to see like the stuff that can happen because you can get your starters can like all be mixed up. The trainers are all mixed up. Like everything is changed. And so you have no idea what's going to happen. And on top of that, the trainer, like if your Pokemon faints, it's dead. It's just gone. Like it's so that would be so fun to stream in the future. Like, especially just watching you just be like stressed out. Like, what am I going to do? Not Kenneth.
No, not Kenneth.
Pete.
I will avenge you.
Yeah, for real. Like it'd be so funny. But yeah, we're excited about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You're getting Violet, right? That's the one with the futuristic lizard on the front. Yeah, I'm getting Scarlet. Because I think the fact that the big lizard has wheels on its chest but doesn't use it is just hilarious to me. But I'm very excited. You decided on what your starter is, right?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm sticking with it. I'm going to see, unless it is like completely, because I went into Sword and Shield completely blind and went with Sobble, and then he eventually turned into Inteleon, which is the worst final like evolution of any starter Pokemon ever, and I hated it. But I went in blind, so when it turned into its final form, I was like,
great,
you're going in the box. I'm never seeing you again. Meanwhile, I look at like Cinderace, who I was like, okay, yeah, he's pretty cool. And then freaking Rillaboom, which is like one of the best final evolutions of a starter. It's a freaking giant gorilla with like 80s hair metal. Like, oh, it's such a cool like, I was like, man, I should have gone with Grookey. He's so much better.
Grookey was my, like when I first played through, Grookey was my first choice, and I hated the middle evolution.
Oh my God, the middle evolution is terrible.
I like didn't want to look at it anymore, but he was my strongest Pokemon, and I was like, I need him right now.
So that was Gen 8, I think. No, it's Gen 9. Or no, I don't know what gen it is. I forget. But that generation, Sword and Shield, like Pokemon, their starters, the middle evolutions like are all pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like
you got
Rabbit, whoever, like whatever Scorbunny's middle evolution is okay. It's not great.
He's just an angsty teenager.
The other two are so bad. I don't even know what Grookey's or Sobble's middle evolution is called, but Grookey's middle evolution looks like a kid rolled around in like freshly cut grass.
Yeah.
Like it's so bad. It's just like stretched out Grookey and then it rolled around in like freshly cut grass. It's terrible. And
the way it grips the freaking twig it has, it's like the standing man emoji with a stick in its hand.
It's so bad. Yeah, his arms are so long and they're just like tubes. There's like no definition. And then Rillaboom's just like buff as hell. And you're like,
there's no elbows in that middle evolution.
He looks like Gumby. It's so weird. Literally. And then Sobble's middle evolution is just like, it looks like a kid like drew it, like a 5-year-old drew it. And they're like, yeah, we can turn that into a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because like the colors are awful. It's got like mittens for hands and it has like 2 like partially inflated water balloons on top of its head. And then it's just like got half eyes closed. And it's like, how did Sobble become this? Like,
right?
At least
Sobble's so cute.
Yeah. At least Grookey's middle evolution looks like Grookey. So you're like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Sobble's middle evolution looks like nothing like it. It goes from like a little salamander to like this weird dude. And then it becomes Inteleon, which is just a weird dude in a suit. Like, that's it. And you're like, oh, what happened to it? It's like, it literally is wearing spandex. It looks so weird. And then Rillaboom and Cinderace both look great. Like,
yeah.
Sobble is just a swing and a miss. Like, terrible, terrible design. But I am going back to who I'm picking.
Oh, right.
I'm sticking with Fuecoco. He's very cute. All 3 of these starters are great. I love Fuecoco. I originally went with, I was going to pick, what is it? What's the cat's name? It's, oh my God, I forgot its name.
I'm going to be honest,
It's,
I have no clue.
It's got like Gato in the name, I believe. Because it's Scarlet and Violet are based like out of Spain is like the inspiration.
Oh, they're so cute. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I searched them up.
Yeah.
Sprigato,
yeah. Or Sprigagito. And then Quaxley. Quaxley is so fun. It's so funny. He's got
the toupee going on.
He has a full-on like pompadour as a duck. It's hilarious. It's so good. And then Fuecoco is just a pepper. Like he's literally a spicy pepper because he's the fire type. And I'm like, I'm going with that, dude. Like I am hoping he doesn't turn into a terrible thing, but I'm pretty confident that a Pokemon named Fuecoco that's inspired by a pepper is going to be pretty good by its final evolution.
Yeah.
But that is another thing about this game. Like, we're less than a month away from this game releasing. We haven't even seen the second evolution of these lines. Yeah. And I'm like, cool. I like it. Like, I'm totally fine with that. Like, I would be okay if they didn't release like what the final evolutions were until after the game came out. Like, I would be fine with that. Give us the second evolution at least.
Let me see which one's not the prettiest.
Yeah, because like it is definitely like a very weird situation. Because I was like, we even had like a direct. They just released a little mini clip of like the new dog Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that thing is immediately on my team. That thing is incredible. But like they've really like kept everything close to the chest, and I'm like, cool, do it. That's fine. Like don't overload me on stuff.
Yeah, keep the anticipation of it
because it's fun. Like it was cool. Like this is my preference is kind of knowing what's going in. Like I like to know about 20 of the Pokemon coming in, but I like to have some surprises. So I'm like, yeah, you know, this slow drip feed of like stuff is totally fine with me. But I'm very excited for this game, and like I'm very excited to be able to do like co-op stuff too, which looks really fun. And I don't know if you read the report, there are 16 or 18 gym badges in this game, because you can get one because there's 3 paths. There's the treasure path, the regular like Victory Road path, and then like one other path that I forget, but each one has its own like gyms. Basically. So there's like so many things, and you can do them in any order you want. I'm like, this game, if this game is like even like half as good of like exploration wise as like Breath of the Wild, I'm just gonna disappear. Like I'm just gone. And it looks so fun, and I'm so excited to just like play it. But is there anything else you've been doing, or anything else you're excited about for gaming?
No.
No.
I've just been focused on.
Yeah, this podcast for the next couple months will probably we may be able to do like 2 episodes a month occasionally here and there, but most of the time it's going to be like once a month. And I feel like for the next couple months at least, it's just going to be like, so how's Pokemon? Like, our middle sections are definitely going to be like, hey, so how's your Pokemon game going? And that's it.
What gym are you at?
Yeah, what gym are you at? Where are you at? What are you doing? Yeah, but that's going to be so fun. I'm so excited for it. Like, and I love that Pokemon always comes out around my birthday. It's so good. It's so great. And then I wonder, like, it could be. I don't think last year we got Legends Arceus around like January, February, early end of the year, but I don't think there's another Pokemon game coming out that close. I think they're gonna let this one like have its time. So I'll be curious what they announce next. But it looks good. I'm very excited.
It looks really good.
Okay, so we'll take a short little break, and then we will come back and talk about the ending of Playdead's Inside, because it is absolutely wild, and I can't wait to hear Jess describe it. So we're back from a little break, and Jess is going to describe the last like 3 chapters of this game and how it ends.
10, 11, and 12.
Yeah.
So I just actually want to start off with the Easter eggs, because the first time I found it was complete, like...
Yeah, I thought it was just part of the game.
I was like, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
Because on the game you can only go left and right. There's no going like up or down.
Yeah.
Unless you're in water.
Yeah.
So it's very like a 2D game. And out of the corner of my eye on the left, because the game's very much telling you go right, go right, like always all forward. The time. And on the left side of the screen, I saw like a little spark, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I thought I had to like turn off like electricity or something, because it was a metal grate that you had to like pull off. So I was like, okay, let me turn off electricity. Couldn't find an electric switch. So Eric was like, just pull it.
Yeah, like you die, whatever happens. That's the other thing we didn't mention. Like the checkpoints in this game are so nice. Like, basically every time you enter in a new room,
you get a checkpoint right there.
Yeah, so it's so nice to be able to just kind of experiment and throw yourself at stuff and be like, well,
that didn't work.
He died again. Whatever.
But so I pull off the grate and I follow this like little tunnel, and it drops down, and there's this like ball with a bunch of lights coming out, and a little like a
little handle on
it. And I pulled it off, and I got an achievement.
Yeah. That was the first achievement that popped, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess this game has achievements. I like totally forgot, because like every game on PlayStation has to have an achievement.
Yeah. And I was like, what is this? Because I thought it pertained to the story.
Yeah, me too.
And so I was like, whoa, this has has some weird underlying thing that I don't know about yet.
Yeah.
But then Eric like mentioned that he didn't see it when he played it.
Yeah. I was like, I've never seen this before.
I was like, how is this pertaining to the story then? And then I like completely, every time I entered a new room, I was like, where is...
Yeah. What's so funny is like at the end of the game, there is like a final one.
Yeah.
And there was a kind of a checklist of these Easter eggs, and there was a whole wall of 12 of them, like lights, and we only got 4. It was like, definitely thought we got a lot more than that, but that pertains to the secret ending that we'll talk about, which is like...
It's kind of confusing.
It's cool, but just it's not worth your time.
Yeah.
So like if you somehow naturally play this game and you find all 12 of those things, awesome, cool.
Like good on you, but like, I wouldn't go searching for them. Yeah.
Just look it up on YouTube. It's a 2-minute thing. Like it's not worth all of your time.
But so yeah, Easter eggs happened.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And then there is one part before we go into the last 3 chapters that I wanted to highlight, because this is full spoiler territories, like some crazy stuff. We're going to talk about like solving puzzles a little bit here and there, but yes, so they're leading up to the
10th chapter.
Yeah, something like that, somewhere around there. There's this like you're hearing this loud like boom, boom, like shaking, and as you get closer to it, the whole like the buildings are shaking and like dust is flying everywhere.
And the haptics on the controller were literally like poof.
Yeah, it was like fully like shaking, And as you get closer and closer, it's like, what is that? And then you see it. You don't see it. You never see what it is. We still don't know what it is.
Making the noise.
But what you see is a shockwave of like just pure power coming through. And it sets it up as you're walking through this room with like a bunch of test dummies, and they get hit and they just like explode like crazy. And you're like hiding behind this like metal door basically that's on a rail, and you have to like move it. But then if you get hit by the shockwave, you literally just
explode,
get eviscerated, completely just destroyed.
Like your head completely gone from your body, all everything. Your limbs, like you are torn to bits.
And like there's no sound, there's no music. It's just like a buildup of the thing like pushing that shockwave out. And so it's just like boom. And like it goes, and like I wasn't even holding a controller, but I could like feel it like every time it was happening. Like, and like
it was so loud that you could hear the controller.
Yeah, it was so good. And like
the thing I liked about that though was it helped me with the timing, because I for the door you had to time it just right to get because the door like went off the rail, and then you had to get the door back onto the rail on the complete opposite side,
or else it would literally smack you like a foosball table.
So like I stood holding the door right by the rail, waited, counted it out. It was like 5.5 seconds.
5.5, 6 seconds
to get across like this 6-foot bridge.
Yeah.
And so like you had to start running and make sure you get to get to the certain part right as it hits, so that you can just keep running, or else you'll lose momentum and you won't be able to like
that whole section was the first time that it was like, hey, get good. Like, all of a sudden, like everything else was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's all timing, it's not that bad. But like that section was like, you better learn how this works or you're never gonna get by.
Yeah.
And my absolute favorite moment in this game was when there's the
music shift.
Yeah, the music shift when you figure out the final puzzle of that section was insane, because there's like this basically rotating thing that at first it makes you think that you just need to stop it and climb, but then like you would go and jump to the next section and die every single time. And then I was like, oh, Jess, you have to follow it. Like you have to stick with it and time it the whole time. And the second she like jumps up and follows it, the music like goes.
There was no music, and then it like silenced, like not even like the.
And it starts muffling, and then like and
then it was like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and the atmosphere in this game is top tier, and that was a
literally
perfect
felt
example.
like I could cut through my anxiety with a knife because of the music.
Yeah, and. Yeah, to show how like anxious both of us were while we were playing this game, my dog was in the room with us for a good chunk of time, and every single time like one of us would get anxious, my dog is very attuned to people's anxiety. She would like come check on us and be like, "Yo, you guys good?" Like,
there was one time we were right in a really high intense situation. There was dogs barking at me, and then she swings by Eric.
Yeah.
He notices her, but he didn't say anything because he was watching the game.
Yeah.
And then she nudges my elbow through the gaming chair, and I literally went, shit.
Yeah, it was so funny.
I jumped so high in that chair.
It was so funny. But like, the atmosphere in this game is so good. It's like that. It is worth playing this game just to feel like that atmosphere, and making sure like if you have good headphones or good speakers or whatever, like. The music cues, the sound design, like everything is so good.
And like this kid, okay, so we named him Milo because I kept just saying like this kid, and I was like, I need a name for him now. I'm naming him Milo. But he was able to endure so many jumps that like would have killed you.
Yeah.
There was this one jump where I made it, but his toe got stuck. Right.
You have to jump into like a very small, like circular opening in water.
And his toe like hit the lip of the opening just barely. And so I hit the water and I was like, cool, I'm in. Like I did it. I did not.
Yeah.
I crumbled in the water.
Dead. It was so funny. And we were just like, did the same exact thing right away and went perfectly through it and was like totally fine. But that starts to lead into like the final chapters.
Yeah.
Like.
But what I was saying right before that happened. There were some times where like if you idled enough, Milo would just like like catch his breath, or like he would like start fixing himself,
or be scared,
or like he would like cower or like crouch.
Yeah, it was so that was really because like there's like there's barely any noise in this game except like footsteps and like occasional chatter from other people,
or
and then,
the grunting from like the dead carcasses.
Yeah, and then like there would be a time where like Jess would like pause for a second and not do anything, and then there would be like a noise, and it's like Milo like and we're like, what the fuck, what is that? And we're like, oh, it's him. Like he's like having a bad time. It's like, well, yeah, okay, I guess, yeah, it makes sense. And so then we lead into like the first like, because this whole game is like super unsettling. You're running away from this like mermaid kid that's like chasing you the whole time. You got to
keep it in it's like a what's it called? A weeping angel?
Yeah.
Like you have to keep it in light and like in your eyesight. And then when you turn around to like keep the light in front of you to move, it'll start moving towards you.
Yes.
That was so hard.
And we had to do that for a while. And then all of a sudden, like the last part that happens is you just like you don't have the sub anymore and you're swimming away from it, and you have to like trick it like to think you're in one place but you're actually in the other place, and you're doing all this and you're running away and you're doing successful.
I was doing so well. I got it. I tricked it to think that I was on the complete other side. I ran over, I hit a button, ran back up, and then tricked it again, came back to hit the button, and I got it.
Yep.
And totally then literally like the next what's it called? The next room.
Yeah.
There was another one.
Yeah.
Or maybe the same one.
Probably,
we don't know.
I think it's the same one. I don't think they ever show like two multiple on screen at the same time.
Yeah.
And then it gets you.
It gets me. And I thought that was like I was like, how do you win this one? Like there's no winning. But that death scene was so long. I was like, wow, I'm not respawning. What is happening?
Yeah.
And Milo
just keeps going down and down.
Keeps sinking. And so he like hits the floor.
Well, on the way down, the like siren kid like shoves a tube in you, and and then you pass by a little light, a yellow light, and the light goes into you, and you're like, what is happening? It's like the same thing again. It's the yellow color like being like a thing, and then you just plop down at the bottom of the quote unquote ocean, and there's fish.
There's fish friends,
and it's the first time there's been fish because we've been in this water the whole time. We haven't seen anything but this like siren
mermaid. Dude.
Yeah.
But you plop down on the floor, and then after like 2 seconds, you're able to like control again, and then you can breathe underwater.
Yeah, for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
the entire rest of the game.
The entire part of the game, I think we counted it, and he was only able to hold his breath for like 15 seconds.
Yeah, if that, and that's the other thing is the Little Mermaid siren kid it just looks like you. Yeah, it looks like you with no clothes and long, like super long hair. And so, like, that's your first clue. And you're like, what is like,
this? What is that?
But then
because it doesn't look like any of the other like things there.
And then all of a sudden you're doing that and you get saved by it, and then you're like, oh my god!
Like
what
you realize it the entire time. It was trying to like help you to breathe and like.
And you're like, what is happening? Like, because that's the other thing. Yeah, whenever you die from other stuff, there's blood.
Yeah,
there's never blood when this thing kills you. Because it's not tearing you apart or anything like that. It's like
it's trying to help you turn into it.
Yeah, and it's so weird because that's the first instance of this game. Obviously, the mind control thing is very weird, but then you're like, we're able to breathe underwater now.
Yeah,
like what is happening?
So you fall and then you start breathing underwater, and these fish follow you around. I don't think the fish actually.
They don't do anything.
Yeah, they don't.
They're
just
aesthetic.
They're just. But they're fish friends. They're friends.
Yeah. Well, it does set up something later to like remember the fish are eventually afraid of you.
Oh yeah.
Which is like, oh man, all right.
But so, you go through, and then you get to like the actual like base, like the lab part of it,
which is I think the final chapter is like the lab.
Yeah, because chapter 10 is like getting into. It's the corpses.
Yeah.
And then you get into the base and you start swimming, and then you see like these boxes on the floor with like cables going up, and you look up and there's a bunch of like upside down bodies.
Yeah, like the water is above you all of a sudden. Like you're standing on the ground and the water is above you, like you're standing on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it looks like, except it's reversed, and you're like, what is happening? Like, it's the weirdest thing ever.
It's so weird.
And like, yeah, there's headless bodies, there's regular bodies, there's like mutilated. It's just like, you're like, what is this place? and it's huge.
It's gigantic.
Yeah.
And you just like, you keep going, and like you pass by like testing like labs and like just a bunch of different things to do and like to see. And like at one point there's like, I'm trying to think of the word, there's like this spot where you have to like get water. So okay, the really hard puzzle that we were stuck on for a second. Yeah. The way that this game mechanic worked was you had to fill the room up with water, but when when it was filling up with water, it looked like it was being like drained by like the water was draining out. But that's because you get so used to being in the water that it looks so weird.
It did look, that was wild. Like, because I looked
Eric
away
wasn't
for
looking. Looking. He like let me do all these puzzles by myself because I got a grasp of it after really I figured out my lefts and my rights.
Yeah, for real. I was like, I had to look at my phone or something for a second, and then like the second time you did it, I was like, oh, what the, like my brain like had a hard time processing it. And then, that was a really, really cool puzzle of like having to like basically jump up into the ceiling and swim and then drop back down out of the water downwards. Like that was crazy.
And then that helps you with the next thing that happens is you start recruiting a bunch of
you get some boys again.
Yeah, you get your
because at one point you have 20 of them or 19 of them or something like that.
It's 19 of them.
Yeah, you get 19 of the like, and that's the biggest amount you get. And then I think you get another like probably like 10 right now, but they're all like messed up.
They're like, there was one that literally had like a rectangle for a head, and then there was one that had no arms and no head. It was just legs.
It was just a potato basically with legs. And then there's even one that like has like no body parts and it's just like flopping around. Like every time you walk by it, it tries to keep up with you. It tries
to go with you, but it cannot.
Yeah. Oh man, that was wild.
It was so weird. But that said, the last one where you have to like swim through the like air to get to your destination sets you up for this one where you have to like get them to throw you into the water, and then you have to swim above them
and then drop and then hit a button while you're falling,
I was able to do that in my first try.
Well, no, the first time you went up into the water, you immediately fell back out.
Okay, it's because I saw my reflection in the water, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, and you fell through. Yeah, that is very cool. Like swimming in the ceiling kind of thing. It was like crazy looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do all that, and then we get to the lab, right? And then you start seeing like society, like kind of basically like actual civilization again.
Yeah.
Like, there's people in a lab, and then all of a sudden you're like just running through and then like in the background you see like scientists
running too,
running, and you're like, what is going on?
And then so I was scared of the scientists because all of the other NPCs that we had met, other than the corpses, were all trying to get me. There was one time literally a drive-by, like,
oh yeah,
I was like running,
the second thing in the game.
I was running, and then this car pulled up and poof,
just
gone.
It was so funny. It was so abrupt, like absolutely no circumstance, just
because there was an agent behind me trying to like catch me, and then as I'm running away from that agent, the car just comes up and I'm downed.
Yeah, it was so funny. But it was a good thing of showing you like you had to wait for a second. So a lot of this game is about waiting. Even if you're in a situation where like you're being chased, you have to like chill for a second.
Yeah. But so I was afraid of all the NPCs.
Yeah, you should have been.
And then like, so I see them all running and I start hesitating. So I'm like sitting behind like shadows and behind walls. But then this one, I don't know if I showed it. But this one scientist came running in the foreground with me.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And tripped over a chair, and I was like, "Oh God, okay."
Yeah, because he ran past you. He like looked at you, got distracted, ran into some chairs, and then kept running.
Yeah,
and it kind of like was to show you like, hey, these guys aren't trying to.
Yeah, they're not going to kill you.
Yeah.
And like even the ones that were in the black suits, because beforehand, like the agents that were trying to get me in the first part, they were in the black suits. So I was like, okay, black suit, trying to kill me. But the ones that were even in the black suits were just running. Yeah,
they're all running towards something, and then you eventually get to it, and it's just like a big tank. And you can't really tell. And even at that point, you can't even tell that there's water in there.
Yeah.
We don't know there's water in there until later, because you have to like circle all the way around. And it's funny, because if you walk up to it like I thought we just had to wait there.
Yeah.
And Milo kind of like sticks his head and he's like looking like normal. Like
his hands go up on the glass and he
just looks
looking.
like a kid at an aquarium.
Yeah.
Like he's looking into the like exhibit.
And we waited there for like a solid minute and I was like, okay, there's something we're
then we
missing.
solved the puzzle. And then we went on. But yeah, that's when the game
got real.
It gets real weird. Basically like we do a whole rigmarole basically and get into that tank that they're looking into.
Yeah.
And it's basically just like
this meatball.
It's a meatball of like
body
flesh
parts
and body parts. And it has 3 things plugged into it. You unplug one, you unplug the other one, and then Milo gets sucked into the meatball. And then you start controlling the meatball. And
let me tell you, those sound effects.
Oh my God.
When
bad.
You start walking, it's.
Yeah, it's so bad. It is. And then like there's moaning. There's like a bunch of different voices.
And then you just hear like Milo going, ah, like trying to move the entire meatball by himself.
Yeah. And then you're basically on a rampage. Like, for the rest
you just start destroying the entire lab.
Yeah. And you basically like, you're doing some puzzles. Like some of the scientists help you out because they're scared or maybe they're not. We'll talk about that a little bit after this, talking about like what this game is and like some of the story. And then basically like, you escape. Like you go from inside to outside. But what happens is you bust through a wall, you roll down into the forest. So you're back where you started, and you roll down a hill, body parts are flying off of you, and you kind of slowly roll into a yellow light of the sun.
On the beach, and you just...
Either you stay there or you die or whatever, and that's the game. Credits start rolling. It's like, you're like, what the heck was this game? Like, what was all of this? Like, but the game is called Inside, and
you get outside.
Yeah, that's like the whole point. But now we can kind of talk a little bit about like the theories that some people have had for this game and kind of like what, because I don't subscribe to any specific theory about this game. I think it's just like an experience more than anything else, and it's just a experience in being like unsettled and like a crazy little thing. But I did like one theory was that the meatball is like communicating with Milo too. That's why he keeps like pressing forward. Yeah, was trying to get him, because like why else would Milo go in that tank, right? And then that's supported by the secret ending. Yes. Which the secret ending is you get all of the 12 things, you go into a bunker, you enter in this code, which I think is dumb that you have to enter in a code after doing all of the other work. Right. And then you go into a subway basically, and you unplug one more thing, and then Milo.
Last thing that you unplug is another mind cap, like the mind controlling cap. And Milo dies there.
Yeah, he turns into like one of the corpses. The drone looking guys who just kind of like stand there with their shoulders down and whatnot.
And so that theory is that people call it the huddle. People thought that the huddle was controlling Milo this entire time to like free it.
Yeah, I think that one is my favorite. And it leads into the secret ending being more than just a random. Well, the other thing, right? The other theory that this game is just you like controlling Milo, right? Yeah. Like you are controlling him, and him unplugging that thing at the end of the game or at the secret ending is you basically unplugging the controller, right? Yeah. Which is cool. It's a fun one, but I like the actual like in-game story of the huddle, because that's another thing is he has 3 mind control things on him. That's what Milo unplugs. Yeah. And then there's a third one that he doesn't unplug, and that's when he sucks them in. So yeah, that would kind of like support it more. Yeah. But is there anything else, like any other theories and stuff that you wanted to talk about?
Honestly, no. I think my favorite thing is that the huddle is like controlling him.
Yeah, from a distance.
Or like at least calling to him type of deal.
Yeah. But this game was definitely really, really cool, really fun. I wouldn't even say like it's fun to like play. Like the game itself is not like fun, but it's like fun. But it's like it's cool. It's a very fun experience. definitely recommend playing with somebody else.
Yeah.
It is very, very cool. But other than that, like, yeah, the atmosphere in that game is so good. There's not many games that I've played that have been that, like, with no dialogue, no nothing, just sheer environment, like just being creeped out the whole time. And I'm trying to think if there's any other like closing thoughts I had. But for the most part, like, that is just a solid game. It's available everywhere. Some places you can get it like super cheap. There's a demo available most places if you want to play like the first couple chapters. It's definitely worth it. But besides that, that is the first official episode.
Woo!
Yeah, and our next game, would you like to talk about what our next game is? If you guys want to play along with us for the next game.
Along. You'll take like 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the
premise of this podcast.
Yeah.
Our next game, I got to choose it. And we're going to do Untitled Goose Game.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I have never played it.
Yeah, I'm surprised Jess has never played this. I played it when it came out. I loved it, beat it in one sitting. But I haven't played it since, and since then they've had a co-op update, so you can play it at the same time. So we're going to try to knock that out in next week. And then the episode will probably come out around Thanksgiving, which will be funny because, birds and Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So hopefully around there, and then we'll hopefully have another episode out like early December. Oh, maybe, yeah. I haven't decided fully on what our third game will be, but maybe I can find something that's like Christmassy since it's December. But yeah, if you guys want to play along, that game's on sale quite a bit. It's available everywhere. It's a good time. I recommend it on the Switch. It's very, very simple. That's where I played it. It's a good handheld game. It's just a funny. It's going to be a nice palate cleanser after this one. But yeah, that's it. If you guys want to follow me specifically, I am Mr. the Human. That's MR on Twitter. And then we are also Short Long Pod on Twitter, if you want to follow the actual Twitter account. And hopefully we still don't have a full schedule of like when these are going to come out. But this one obviously came out on the 31st. And I'll try to have the other one come out around Thanksgiving or maybe earlier. Who knows? We'll see. Kind of figuring that out. We basically are going to record whenever we feel like we have the opportunity to actually beat a game. And right now those are all pretty short games. So it's trying to knock them out in one weekend. But down the line, who knows? Maybe we can do we each play a longer game on our own and slowly work on that. And then when we both beat it, like maybe we'll do a special Pokemon episode too once we both beat Scarlet and Violet, even though I feel like that game's going to be pretty long overall. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.